rocking to the ancient rhythm, rocking to the ancient rhythm. Love is my religion, love is my addiction. African tradition, free your mind, no prison. Stop all the division.
What were we talking about earlier?
Obviously, so we was tapping into, how, I like how when you're breaking down how you look at all systems mathematically, and you can break down how it breaks down to zero, and how that's how you study the origins. And I really like that example you gave. Really like that concept.
Yeah. And this is kind of it's kind of wild because it applies to everything. Right? And if everything is made out of the same thing, then the same principles apply, because we essentially are computers that just became self-aware.
Right.
So one thing that I was going to be asking you some questions about was about the human computer and how to understand how it communicates with this energy that exists in the universe.
Right.
And this goes into the realm of chakras, energy manipulation, transmutation. Speak more on that if you can.
Okay, so obviously dealing with the chakras now. Obviously, most people who follow my work know that that's really where I started. Really, that's my most popular series and my most known series, dealing with the chakras. So when you understand the Hindu
system, you know what? Sorry for interrupting you. You know what? How about this? What is a chakra? Let's start at a fundamental level. Let's.
Right. So chakra essentially in Sanskrit, that means essentially wheel. And essentially the system is a chakra system itself, essentially a mind map, really of the universe, really how it connects to the self. Okay. So really the chakra really essentially is supposed to turn and take in, obviously you talked about prana, obviously you've probably heard the word prana before, chi, the chi and the organ energy, things of that nature. And the chakra essentially is supposed to turn and really take in the energy and utilize the energy for the self. So there's obviously 7 major chakras now. You got the root chakra, which is in Sanskrit, that means Muladhara, which means root.
This is the chakras on the human body.
Right. The human body, right.
Okay. Does every system have a chakra?
What do you mean? Which systems?
Because the human is just a representation of the cosmic realm in this material reality, right? So I would assume that, for example, planet Earth being a material being also has chakras or energy portals or energy ports.
Energy points, yeah, most definitely.
Expound on that a little bit.
So really that's what they say is they say that the Earth really has its own chakra points, and essentially that's really what they understand this, and that's where they build these major monuments on these points. And that's really what it is when you tap into that. So so really going back to the human side of things, again, the Muladhara, which is the root supports, and then you move up from that. You got the Svadhisthana, which means bone abode, which is moving up now. And this is all in the lower. They call this the lower chakras, and then you Manipura, which means the city of jewels, and then you're moving up now to the heart. They call it the Anahata, right, which means unstruck, and then you move up to the throat now, which is Shuddha, which means purity, right? And then you go into the in between the eyebrows. People often refer to it as a third eye. You've probably had a third eye before, right? And that's Ajna. And then you're moving up to then the crown chakra, or really what I was tapping into, going into more the tantric aspects, the Nirvana chakra. And then beyond that is the Sahasrara, which means a 1,000 essentially. That's really the next level.
Wow. This is so. It's really interesting to then find out and learn that the same design principles that were used to design the universe are the same principles that we use to design us humans. The same way that planets have these portals, these energy points, is the same way that the universe has energy points also.
Right.
and it's kind of like the idea of a wormhole in a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
Those are energy points.
Right.
Those can be modeled to be extremely simple or fundamental energy points that are equivalent to chakras, but on the cosmic scale.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's just energy going in and out.
Right,
Energy goes into a black hole and never escapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that energy going?
Right.
So it's the same way the energy goes through the you understand the cymatic energy that exists in the universe and how it affects the DNA, and that's kind of how the whole chakra thing really works.
Right.
How for example, the human body, of course, you know, the human only has about 20 of its DNA activated.
Right. What do you say 20? What?
20 of the, I believe, is the base pairs
Oh, okay.
of human DNA.
I know this about the 98%. They don't have access to the full.
They call it junk DNA.
Yeah, the junk DNA, right.
It's not junk.
Yeah, not junk. Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of what I was getting to.
Okay.
I was getting to the fact that maximizing or utilizing these poils, these energy points, like you were saying with the chakras, is actually how we get to activate all these to sort of allow ourselves to maximize our potential.
Okay.
You know, but that's literally maximizing our potential in the material realm.
Right.
Because in the material realm, you don't have to maximize your potential. You already maximize.
But in the immaterial, you're saying?
Yes, in the immaterial realm.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
In the material realm, like you're in the Higgs Field.
Right, 100%.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the chakras are very interesting because I've heard that the pyramids were built on like Earth's chakra.
Yeah, that's what they say. So it was built, obviously, you know, right in it, you know, these certain parts of the world, and obviously that really harnesses the energy, this natural energy of, you know, of the universe and really Earth itself.
Infinite energy. So infinite energy does exist.
It must do.
It must. But if infinite energy exists, what does that say about the current state of the universe that we live in? What does infinite energy mean?
You know, but really, they kind of, obviously, it's even they want to tap into it. They're studying it right now. You know, they're dealing with the nuclear fusion, the nuclear fission. They're trying to find it through all these different means, but really, they've yet to find this pure energy, really this fundamental energy, this infinite energy. They've yet to find it.
And that's what they're doing at CERN, right? They're colliding the particles.
Right. Yeah.
And they're looking for currently they're looking for a graviton, which is the gravity particle. That's because the duality principle states that particles can exist as waves and as particles.
Mm-hmm.
So at the fundamental level, they have this Higgs field that is at the blank state, and they're trying to find its equivalent particle. Because if they find the graviton, then they'll be like, fuck, that's the thing that gives force of gravity.
Right. You know, but even just tap into that, I was looking into how, I was basically modeling the Higgs field and how Higgs field manipulation would actually work. And essentially, they would need to find that Higgs field sibling, essentially, and that's how they would really, you know, break that down and really tap into that. You know, they need
exactly. That's what they're looking for.
Right.
And it's tricky, man. I'm not sure because whenever they collide these particles, I feel like it has effect in a cosmic sense.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? On the fact that this colliders, in a way, are playing with something that's very, 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 very volatile.
You know, so obviously that's really, because obviously, although this is where, you know, it's the bulkiness, really, the human, the bulkiness and all these different things, and the macro scale, really the universe, really to study the universe, it's even on the micro scale. That's really how you study it. So really, when they're playing around with these particles, they're really essentially, so many words, they're reaching that fundamental level of the universe and really playing with these fundamental building blocks, really. And you know, that can possibly have effects, you know, and really cause these, you know, things to happen.
It can cascade to be catastrophic or maybe beneficial. I'm not sure which way it goes, but if we understand, for example, we found out in the early 20th century that when you split an atom, the energy released can literally destroy an entire city.
Right.
And that's only because we had learned enough to realize that the smaller we go, the microscopic level, the more energy the particles have.
Right.
He was like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, if you burn a piece of wood,
actually, it makes a lot of sense because that's the building blocks. You know what I mean?
It makes sense now, but it took them a while to understand that because, like I said, because you can't even see an atom, but if you split it, we know what happens.
Right.
So these people that are trying to find the graviton, what they're trying to do is to create a different universe. That's what they don't realize.
Right.
They're playing with the really fundamental building blocks of their whole universe.
Right.
So
Karen.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It could even be that some of these particles are so fundamental, you even have to really go back into time, really, because obviously, you know, if you're dealing with like just the origins of the universe, these particles are so fundamental. For what they say is high energy particles, they basically break down. So as soon as you find them, they break down to much smaller particles, and this is what's happening. So these high energy particles and these fundamental particles, they really have to go back in time, even to the Big Bang. One of the theories there, they have to go back to that, really. You know,
and I think that's actually I think that's where the whole idea of the universe is within us really becomes fascinating, because we realize that going backward in time is literally the equivalent of looking into a very, 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 very powerful microscope,
right.
Not telescope.
Right, there you go.
And not just a microscope, we're going quantum.
Right, there you go.
That's what time travel is.
Right.
Time travel is going inside.
There you go.
And that's why I said our forefathers mastered time travel.
Right.
If you know how to go inside, you don't have to build gadgets.
You know, because even realistically, you know, the brain is the most advanced computer in the universe. We're not even really close to that. And as I was saying to you before, one of the issues I'm having is really the ego now. A lot of these scientists thinking that they're tapping into that right now, and they're making computers that can even touch that when we're not even close to that yet.
Exactly. Their understanding of the universe itself is flawed. Like I mentioned earlier, they don't have the source code.
There you go.
You can replicate all you want. You can look at, if you've never seen the engine or how the mechanics of a car works, and you see one and you see how it looks, you see the outside of it, no matter what you do, it's going to be very, very difficult mathematically to design a car that works the same way that car does.
Right.
You can easily replicate how it looks.
Right. But the mechanics, that's a whole different.
That's a whole. You have to understand. You have to have the blueprint.
There you go.
So now,
but see, I feel like that's what they're looking for. You know, because right now I'm looking into. Basically, there was a story that came out. They found 23 new sarcophagi from Egypt, and you're thinking to yourself, well, why are they still digging up sarcophagus? Why are they still digging up? They're looking for that blueprint. You know what I mean? They're looking for that
blueprint. Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. And here's why. Here's why it's really fundamental, crucial. If you have this blueprint, you have the powers equivalent to a god.
Right, there you go.
If you have this blueprint, you can literally control or create your own universe.
Right, right.
That's the scary part.
Right, right.
All of our ancient forefathers were gods.
Right, right.
So this knowledge was universal.
Mm-hmm.
But in the realm of today, where some people are asleep and others aren't, the people that possess this knowledge have the option to be good or evil.
Right, right.
And I don't know if we're living on the good side of history
Mm-hmm.
or on the evil side of history.
Right, right. You know. Yeah, so I mean, that's really what it is. You know, they want to, again, they want to fly this blueprint because really it was tapping into that, and they really reached that level, and they reached really the God level. Really is all of nature, understanding all of nature, and reaching that highest level of nature because all it already exists in nature already.
Yes,
So
sir.
the God level is really mastering nature, and that's really what they taught. Really, if you read all of their mythologies, they were talking about being at the center of nature and ruling nature itself, being mastering that.
And this is gonna be a quick plug for my company, Ngu Utopia, the consulting firm that I started when I was in college. The whole purpose of this company is to help humans maximize their potential.
Mhm.
It's to help humans get in sync with this rhythm
Right.
of the universe so that they can be in the same frequency, the same wave, literally, because now you've been led astray.
Right.
So this reminds me of the story of the original Africans that started at the cradle of mankind. Started in the Central African Republic in Congo and all these countries that were the original people of this planet. And if you go back to like the ancient history of Africa, they say that the ancient Africans followed the river.
Mhm.
If you look at, even we do that till today, look at every major country. Where is the most populous city in every major country?
Right.
Around the ports,
Mm-hmm.
where the water is.
Right, right.
The river Nile was the source for the entire origin of the life on this planet.
Right, right.
So the original family starts to spread from Africa, spread northward, looking for greener pastures, because obviously once the family gets bigger and bigger and bigger, people need to get more and more spaced out.
Right, right.
But the logical thing to do is to stay close to the water,
Right, right.
stay close to the river, because what are you made from? You're more than 70% water.
Right, right. But see, that's what's happening now. Where they want to go next now. I was watching this brief documentary where they're saying right now, Amsterdam and Rotterdam, they in the next few years, they're basically going to be parts of that's going to be underwater. So they're saying that the new architecture now has to incorporate now living with the water, and even on the water, living in this, living with the water now, floating in the water and all these different things,
Does that ring a bell? Atlantis?
There you go.
Remember, Thoth was an Atlantean.
Right, right.
After Atlantis was a civilization that ended and birthed the Egyptians, the Egyptian Empire, the ancient Egyptian Empire.
Right, right.
Not the contemporary stuff with Cleopatra. That's all due to invasion.
Right, right.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, the Greco-Roman aspect, yeah, definitely 100%.
that wasn't the natural course. It's sort of it's kind of like this. It's like I wouldn't if I was to study Native American history, the Native Americans that lived in the Americas, their history isn't part of the American history today.
Right.
But the people of the future are gonna include the people that have lived on this continent from England that came to America as pilgrims and stuff and killed the Indians and whatever and have been living here for a couple hundred years.
Right.
They're gonna look at it as though it's their history, their land, right?
Right.
But in reality, the natives have the older history, the original history.
Right.
That's what Egypt is. The reason why Egypt even evolved, from my perspective, if I'm to give my opinion on this, to get to a point where they even began to use material, was because they were now involved with people that were incapable of actually surviving in the immaterial realm like they did.
Right.
So the invention of metal, like if you hear the stories of Jacob, Yakub, all these stories that come together, how he showed people how to master metal, how to create metal. And how did metal become so vital? It was the building block of every current civilization.
Right.
Our forefathers didn't use metal. You know why? They didn't have to.
Right.
The entire world today is based on metal, right? On steel. Imagine a world with no steel.
Right.
If you destroy that world, in 1,000 years, wouldn't it seem like the world advanced? Right? If the world ends today, all this metal, they're gonna see it in the future. But that's because it's material. But the more advanced people didn't have to master metal. Even the religious texts, going back to pre-Christianity, pre-Judaism, pre-Islam, they tell you that all this knowledge that was given to the founders of these new religions came from Egypt.
Right. But see, even tapping into that briefly, they said at one point, I was reading this one book, it said at one point in those times, you weren't considered a scholar unless you studied in Egypt. If you didn't study in Egypt, you weren't even a scholar. So like today, certain universities, if you don't go to Harvard and Oxford and all these different places, that was how it was back then. If you didn't come to Egypt and study there, and that was not on your resume, you weren't even respected as a scholar back then.
That's so true. I've heard that before. And even religious entities, even the ancient, the original Muslims and Jews and Christians, even they had to get validation. They had to take pilgrimages to Africa to be anointed, to become verified, like a verification check on Twitter.
Right.
That you're worthy of providing wisdom.
Right.
They had to study in Egypt. Moses was an Egyptian.
Right.
Moses is the beginning of religion, all these religions.
Right. 100%.
Moses comes to rise during the fall of Egypt.
Right.
It connects all the dots.
Right.
It shows you how we went from the ancient civilizations, masters, geniuses, gods, to now, you're just computation.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I like the breakdown, but obviously but see, even with the metals, they mastered that and understood, you know, the fundamentals, because obviously there's evidence of copper and things of that nature, and obviously the reason being is because that, you know, conducts really energy. And one of my posts I made dealing with really, they was mastering energy. They understood really the purpose of these metals that can be used just really as energy conduits and conduct energy rather than just building. So we can use these stones to build, but then these other stuff we're going to use it for more advanced and more, you know, dealing with the energy side of things.
I think the pyramids were built to remind us, certain people, not the whole world, to remind the people that were invaded, if you know what I mean, to remind them of the truth. Because there's nothing more symbolic of the truth than a pyramid.
Right.
There's nothing more symbolic of the natural order of the universe.
Right.
Than a pyramid. And the testament is that until today, because they were so smart, they knew that, because until today, we still have the pyramids here.
Right. Yeah, they say, you know, the pyramids survived so many earthquakes. But see, even with the pyramids, even I don't know if you studied the Peruvian side of things, like Cusco and things down those side of things. You know, even down there, they've got structures even down there that, you know, same megalithic style, same hard stone, heavy stone type of thing that are still standing after all these earthquakes, so different things.
So they attribute them to aliens. It's like, yes, aliens, they are aliens, because they came from where? What's the theory of the original people that inhabited this planet? They say they're space beings. They were either brought here or they were created here, based on whatever school of thought you want to go with. If you go with they were created here, it means that they were created with the optimal equations, which is what I'm going to go back to. Like I said, it's an optimal potential.
Right.
Optimal frequency based on how the source is evolving.
Right.
So some beings, some systems, because people are just systems, are designed with an optimal connection to that original source of the universe. And this is where the truth comes in. Because now, why are these systems not being allowed to be optimally efficient?
But see, even with, just to tap into that, what would your take be then on just the alien itself then? Do you agree with it? What's your whole take on it? Just to tap into that, what is your take on it?
Expand on that, the alien theory?
Just the concept of otherworldly beings. So what is your take on it?
My take on it is I've always had an understanding innately that the things that I'm seeing is not all that there is. Right? So from a mathematical perspective, logical perspective, if the universe has been expanding for so long, and our reality is right here, it means that there is an infinite amount of grids of the different realities.
Right.
That tells me that not only do humans exist, but humans exist, but at the same time, there's an infinite amount of other possibilities of civilizations that exist inside the human.
Right. Okay. So we're talking interdimensionally, or we're talking
We're talking interdimensionally, we're talking mathematically, we're talking chemically.
Right.
Mathematically, I showed you the grid.
Mm-hmm.
The grid of the universe expands in a certain way, sine wave, cosine, interchanging, frequency,
Right.
optimizing.
Mm-hmm. So essentially we are the aliens that we've been looking for, essentially.
Yes, I couldn't have said that better. We are the aliens we've been looking for.
Right, okay.
The aliens are in us.
Right.
The interdimensional universe is within us, which is
Right.
why the spiritual say close your eyes and become one with the universe, and that is how you actually learn how to maximize yourself and maximize your potential and get in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're always going to be working forever, and that work is going to be benefiting an external entity.
Right.
Harvesting your energy.
Right.
Capitalism, slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all systems.
Right.
Slavery is just less efficient than capitalism.
Right, 100%.
Well, guess what's more efficient than capitalism? The universe.
Right.
And for us to move forward, we have to replicate that. That's all I got.
100%. Yeah, that's really what it is. And obviously, I like how you brought that down, because obviously with slavery, your workforce is dying off. Your workforce is being, then with capitalism, you got a bit of healthcare, but you're still falling ill, you're still falling sick, and then with the universe now, that's really the fullest where we need to go to.
Fully optimized. Yes. Thanks for the conversation today, by the way. This has been an awesome build, man. I've learned so much. This has been awesome. We should do this more often, get that knowledge spread into the world,
100%. Like I said, I really like your take on things. I really like the mathematical take on things. I really like that. And I think people, that's a new perspective that people need to hear. And I really like you're really the next one to come, and you're really the one that's up and coming, really the next wave, and really the next one to come to really deliver this knowledge and really.
We're going deeper, bro. We're going deeper. We're going deep. We're done with the surface. We're going deep. We're going to zero.
There it is, man. I like that.
I'm trademarking that, by the way. We're going to zero.
Yeah,
every system. And by the way, just to conclude, that's what we teach at Ngu School Utopia.
Mm-hmm.
We teach you how to optimize every system.
Right.
And you can find out what's good and what's evil from that.
Right.
You can find out whether capitalism is good or bad, whether someone is good or evil, whether a car is efficient or not efficient. You can do this to every system.
Mm-hmm.